Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Corrigan. Thank you so much for joining me. One quick bit of news to start off with from the other day. Jordan Love had his first official meeting with the press, and everything I have seen, read, and heard is positive. No weird statements made by Jordan about any drugs he was trying in the off season, no immunizations, and no darkness retreats. So, all in all, a good start for Jordan. It is that time of year again. The NFL schedule has been released. So, let's take a quick look and see what the Packers have lined up for the 2023 season. The NFL and the networks like the Packers enough that even with a new quarterback and a young offense, the Packers will play in prime time 5 times this year. Jordan Love will start his first season as QB1 with 2 games on the road against the Bears and the Falcons, September 10th and September 17th, followed by 2 home games against the Saints, who will have a new starting quarterback in Derek Carr. And then the Lions come to town on Thursday night in a primetime game on Amazon Prime, followed by a Monday night game against the Raiders in Las Vegas. So 2 back-to-back primetime games, followed by the Packers bye week on the weekend of October 15th. They will return October 22nd, going to Denver against the Broncos. That is a pretty good chunk of time from the Thursday night game on the 28th to the Sunday game on the 22nd, with only 1 game during that time period. So a lot of rest for the Packers relatively early in the season. Sunday, October 29th, they take on the Vikings at home, and another home game against the Rams on November 5th. Then they will travel to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers, who are always tough in Pittsburgh. Returning home November 19th to play the Chargers. They have a Thanksgiving game, a date with the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, November 23rd. And will return home to play the Chiefs on December 2nd. That is a Sunday night game. And once again, they follow a Sunday night game with a Monday night game. They will be traveling to New York to face the Giants on December 11th. Buccaneers come to town on Sunday, December 17th. Packers will go to Carolina and face number 1 draft pick Bryce Young on December 24th, Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve, they will go to Minnesota, face the Vikings. That is a Sunday night game. And then to finish out the season, they play the Bears. Time is to be determined. It could be Saturday or Sunday, January 6th or 7th. That's it. We know the who, the where, and mostly the when. So for fun, let's take a shot at predicting where the Packers can win some games. As always, keep in mind that injuries, players not playing well, and general chaos can and will turn any team's season upside down. So these are for fun. Don't go placing bets based on what I say. For the Packers, the 3 keys to their season are going to be the defense finally playing up to its potential. They have 8 first-round draft picks that they can put on the field at one time. Jordan Love needs to show that he's the guy. He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to be Brett Favre. He doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer. Just if he can just be top 15 in the league, that would be great. The young weapons. The wide receivers, new wide receivers, young wide receivers, and the tight ends need to develop and have some production. All those things can happen this season. Should go fairly well. So looking at the schedule, I think week 1, they can beat the Bears. Week 2, they can beat the Falcons. Week 3, the Saints, starting a new quarterback, and they didn't play well last year. could go either way. Then have the Lions at home. It's a short rest. It is prime time. They can win that game. They are at the Raiders. The Raiders were terrible last year. They have a new quarterback. I still think that's a winnable game. At the Broncos were terrible last year. They have a new head coach, different offensive coordinator. I don't think Russell Wilson can play that terribly again. But I do think that's a possible win for the Packers. Vikings at home. I think they can win that game. They should win the game against the Rams. They are at the Steelers. That's going to be a tough game. Could be a loss. Chargers game, even though it's home, could be a loss. At the Lions, I suspect they'll lose at least one of the Lions games. The Chiefs just compete. They are the Super Bowl champions. That is a really good team. Not expecting a win there. They are at the Giants. The Giants, despite what most of us think of the Giants and that not being a terribly great team, they were a playoff team. They did beat the Packers last year. It is in New York. Could be a loss there. Buccaneers are terrible. Were bad last year, even though they made the playoffs. Tom Brady is gone. Week 16 at the Panthers. Rookie quarterback. I think they can win that game. At the Vikings in Week 17, I suspect they will lose one of the games to the Vikings. And then Week 18, they are home with the Bears, and hopefully they can beat the Bears twice. So the floor, things looking positive for the Packers, anywhere from 7-10 to 8-9, or 7-10 or 8-9, winning the Bears game, the Falcons game, the Lions game, the Vikings, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Panthers, possibly the last Bears game, and then lose to the Saints, Raiders, Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, Lions on the road, Chiefs, Giants, Vikings on the road. I think the ceiling for the Packers is to beat the Bears twice, beat the Falcons, beat the Saints, beat the Lions at home, beat the Raiders, beat the Broncos, beat the Vikings at home, which I think would give them 8 wins to start the season. Beat the Rams, beat the Bucks, and the Panthers. That would put them at 11-6, and I think would give them a shot at the playoffs. While we would all want this season and every season to end up with a Super Bowl appearance, with all the new faces on this team, especially on offense, I think we have to temper our expectations a little bit. Cheering for a Super Bowl appearance, get to the playoffs, anything can happen. And I expect the players and the coaches that should be their goal every year. But let's be realistic, people. I think an outcome somewhere in the range of 7 to 11 wins still has to be considered a success and a sign that this team has something to build on and is heading in the right direction. So, thank you for tuning in to the Packer Mentality Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of the 2023 schedule, and don't forget to join me next time for more analysis. Until then, have a great weekend, and as always, go Pack Go.